Welcome, everybody. My name is Frank. I am the host of the Let Me Bend Your Ear podcast. On this podcast, I discuss and review movies new and old. You can get this show wherever you listen to podcasts. So just go to your favorite podcasting app and look for the Let Me Bend Your Ear podcast. And if you can, please subscribe and rate and review. The show is also available in a video format on YouTube. If you can follow the YouTube channel there, the handle is at Bend Your Ear Pod. You can also watch the show live on X and also on the show's Facebook page. You'll see video there. That is also the Let Me Bend Your Ear podcast. If you want to email the show, the email is bendyourearpodcast@gmail.com. You can also follow the show on X. That's also at Bend Your Ear Pod. That handle goes for Instagram, YouTube, and X. And if you want to go to the website is letmebendyourear.com. Every audio episode all the way back to episode 1 is available there. You can listen to it there. You can download the show there. If you're interested in helping support the show, if you're watching on video, there is a QR code here on the left side of the screen, or you can go to the X page and click on the tip jar to help support the cost of having the show. So I appreciate that if you do choose to contribute. All right. On this episode, I'm going to review the film Eddington. Now, this is an interesting one for me because the film came out in 2025. It is directed by Ari Aster, and I always get his name wrong. Let me look it up here. It's Ari Aster, excuse me. So he is a director of some renown, made some critically acclaimed, more so in the horror genre. This is actually the first film I've watched of his, but he directed Midsommar. He directed Beau is Afraid. He also directed Hereditary, which I think put him on the map as far as a popular, critically acclaimed director. So I chose to watch this film, Eddington. I remember it when it came out last year. I think it came out in the summertime or the spring of last year. And I remember hearing something about it. You know, obviously Joaquin Phoenix is in it, Emma Stone, Pedro Pascal. So you had some big stars in the film. But what I do remember in the little bit of coverage that I saw of the movie at the time of its release, I don't know if it made a big deal, but it made a point of the fact that the film was set in 2020 at the onset of the COVID pandemic. So for me, and probably for a lot of other people, because I don't think the movie did very well, was that personally, there's things about the COVID pandemic that I'm not going to get into now because it has nothing to do with this podcast that leave a very sour taste in my mouth. I'll just leave it at that. So I always said I'm not really interested in seeing any kind of movie that even delves into that anytime soon. Maybe down the road, I'll be more interested in taking a look at it. But for me personally, definitely not now. That held no interest for me, regardless of who's in the movie, who directed the movie. So at the time, I'm like, I'll pass. But I do remember that at the time, there were some very positive reviews that the movie received. So after, obviously we're 6 months, 7 months later, we're into the new year. The movie was available for streaming. And then I had read some positive notices on X and critics talking about the film, and some other people talking about it in very positive terms. So I decided, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and watch it. It's available. I'll check it out. If the subject matter really doesn't interest me, I just won't finish it. So I was half expecting to start it and not finish it due to the subject matter. But to my pleasant surprise, it actually was a film that engaged me, and I watched it obviously from beginning to end, or I wouldn't be reviewing it for this episode. So let me start by getting into the story. So as the film opens, so obviously we're talking about the COVID pandemic. So the film is set in May of 2020, which of course is right at the beginning. So obviously lockdowns happen March. So we're 2 months into the lockdowns at the time this movie starts. So you have the mayor of a town in Eddington, New Mexico, Ted Garcia, played by Pedro Pascal. So at the time, he implements what happened at the beginning. So of course, if you know, the mask mandates, the lockdowns, basically following what the governor has ordered for the state of New Mexico. So the sheriff of the town, who is Joe Cross, played by Joaquin Phoenix, is not for these lockdowns. So he gets into battle with the mayor, basically disapproving of it. He basically makes the arguments that people at the time made about the mandates. They violate freedom of choice. You should be able to do what you want, and this is overreach by the government. So the sheriff is married to Louise, who's played by, I just forgot her name. Played by I just totally forgot her name. Emma Stone. I don't know why I just left my head. So played by Emma Stone, and he lives with her and lives with her mother Dawn, who's a rampant conspiracy theorist. So sees conspiracies and everything. So the beginning of the film kind of deals with that. The opening, probably, I don't know, 45 minutes, deals with that kind of back and forth regarding the sheriff's position on the lockdown and the mayor's position on the lockdown. So what also is going on at this time is the mayor is running for re-election, and there is a push to get a data center put into Eddington, because Eddington is a very small town in New Mexico. Not when you see the way it's shot, it's basically one of these typical small towns that you can tell there's not a lot of economy going on. It's pretty much a rundown old town. So this data center obviously would be a huge financial boon for the town, and the mayor is completely behind it. So that's going on as well. So the sheriff becomes increasingly more agitated about these lockdowns due to the pandemic, and makes a decision to run for mayor against Ted. So that sets up the kind of friction between those two, and as it escalates, they attack each other regarding the running of the campaign, and Sheriff Joe makes a pretty shocking accusation against Ted that involves the sheriff's wife. So I'll leave it at that. But that escalates things, and things escalate to a point where something happens, and that sets kind of the course for the rest of the movie. So that's the basic premise of the movie. So the things that I really enjoyed about it is, I'm going to start with performances. And Joaquin Phoenix, of course, who's a fantastic actor. He's been a fantastic actor for quite a long time. And he's fantastic in this movie. I loved his performance as a sheriff. You can see as the movie opens, if you are, regardless of your stance on, whether you agreed with lockdowns or didn't agree with lockdowns, he has his performance as a person that's against it and arguing why he's against it. The performance is really, really well done. He's a fantastic actor, but this is one of my favorite performances of his, actually, in a while. So that was pleasantly surprised by that. Pedro Pascal is good as the mayor. Emma Stone, who's always strong as his kind of reclusive wife, who obviously has some serious issues, which is why she is basically a recluse at this point in their marriage. And so the performance by Joaquin leads to this whole movie. And what I loved about the movie is, and the part that I was pleasantly surprised, the movie, after the event that takes place, like I said, I'm not going to say, I'd rather you watch the movie and see for yourself. So there's a significant event that takes place that kind of spins the movie in another direction. And the movie becomes a black comedy, in my opinion. I've seen some notices talk about satire, but when I was watching it, it became kind of a black comedy. And if you've listened to this podcast for any length of time, I've kind of been sad about the lack of black comedies. And when I say that, they in the 80s and 90s, especially in the 80s too, black comedy was a thing that was very popular. So 3 of them off the top of my head that I was really big fans of were, you had The War of the Roses with Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner. You had Heathers with Winona Ryder and Christian Slater. And then the third one that I always forget to mention is Throw Mama from the Train, which was written and directed by Danny DeVito, which was kind of a loose remake of Strangers on a Train, the Hitchcock film. But dark comedy. So, things happen, there's deaths, there's things that occur, but it's absurdly funny. And you don't really see a lot of black comedies anymore, at least that I can recall in the last 10 years. So Eddington was a pleasant surprise. That for me, it was the first one I've seen in a long time. So when the movie takes that turn, and as I said at the beginning, it's not, it becomes less about the pandemic and becomes more about, which the best comedies or satires or black comedies do, is kind of reveal human nature and the dark side of human nature. So the characters, after the event occurs in the movie, the sheriff, everybody involved, it's just it's a they're not human nature. The bad part of human nature comes out in almost every character in the film. Now there's other characters I haven't even mentioned yet. There's a teenage character that becomes involved in the Black Lives Matter movement. So he meets a girl that's in it. So he kind of gets in it because he likes her, but tries to do protests. Obviously, in the small town, which is normally, you think it gets political, but what makes it funny is even the Black Lives Matter protests in the city, they're small because it's a small town. So you have to try to get people from other places, and it's just, all of it is done in a way that was just humorous to me. And while it's a serious subject matter, I think the director approaches it in a really smart and funny way to show the absurdity of people's character and how things can affect how you react to things. So in that realm, I surprisingly enjoyed it because, like I said, my opinion about the pandemic and how it was handled aside, what I liked about this movie is the lockdowns, the mask mandates, the protests, everything that was happening in that time in 2020 revealed people's character or lack of character, depending on what the character was doing in the film or characters were doing in the film. So again, the movie's anchored by that Joaquin Phoenix performance. He's fantastic. Like I said, Emma Stone is good. Pedro Pascal is good. But again, the movie escalates to, as the black comedy ratchets up, the everything escalates and it becomes basically a thriller, like a neo-western thriller, which is, like I said, which was a great turn. So basically the movie shifts tones very dramatically after the event, the big event happens that you'll see if you watch the movie. The movie shifts tonally completely, and that's a risky thing to do. I give the director credit because that's a risky thing to do, to shift a movie in tone so dramatically. A lot of times that doesn't work. For me, in this case and in this movie, it worked fantastically. And like I said, I'm very surprised how much I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. And like I said, the situations that the sheriff gets into, Joaquin Phoenix's character, as the film escalates to its climax, is is just absurd, kind of funny, kind of sad, all at the same time. Because in the beginning of the film, the sheriff is kind of portrayed. I don't want to say a good guy, but he's pushing against the system. He's pushing against this. So you have this one impression of him. Even though they kind of show, his personal life is kind of a mess. Like I said, the situation with his wife is not great. But he seems like a person of principle and things like that. And then as the movie progresses, you see what he really is and what a lot of the characters in the movie really are. And that's what's entertaining about this film, of the second half all the way to the, going all the way to the end through the climax of the movie. And the very end of the movie packs a punch as well, because there's another incident that happens closer to the end that shifts things as well. It doesn't change the tone of the movie, but it is a fitting closing to what ends up happening preceding it. So again, I was pleasantly surprised at Eddington, and I'm actually glad I watched it. So it's a good lesson sometimes for me, is like, if I have a prejudice against a movie because of something, now it took me 7 months to watch it, but I'm glad I ended up watching it because I ended up really enjoying it a lot. And like I said, I think it's one of Joaquin Phoenix's better performances in a long time. So I really enjoyed him. And if you're a fan of his, he's a big reason to watch the movie. Like I said, he's basically in the entire movie. He's in every scene. So it's his movie. And like I said, it's a movie that starts one way and goes in a completely different direction. And it's a great shift. So definitely, I highly recommend Eddington. So again, it was written and directed by Ari Aster. And again, this is the first film of his that I've seen. I've been wanting to see Hereditary. Now, I just one of those movies where I haven't gotten to it, or Midsommar. I know there's kind of polarizing views about that movie. And I know Beau was Afraid, which also had Joaquin Phoenix as the lead. His films that I've noticed, the critical notices is polarizing. I think he's one of those directors where people either really love him or don't like him at all. That seems to be what I can see when I review critical notices of his particular movies. And I think this one might have been more on the positive side. I looked at a couple of reviews, but most of them were positive. And like I said, in the last couple of months, I had heard some really good, notices and talking about the film. And I think that kind of with the Oscars coming up, and obviously the nominations that come out, I don't think Eddington got anything. And I think some people online were complaining about that because they really enjoyed it. And that kind of sparked me to really rethink it and then actually end up watching it. So I'm glad those people spoke up for the movie, and I decided to watch it because, like I said, I was pleasantly surprised at how much I enjoyed it and how original I thought it was. So I am going to go ahead and give Eddington, written and directed by Ari Aster and starring Joaquin Phoenix, Emma Stone, and Pedro Pascal, I am going to give it 4 stars out of 5. So on that scale, for me, that's a movie that I would rewatch, that I would recommend you watch. And I think you'll enjoy it, especially if you're a fan of Joaquin Phoenix. Like I said, I really enjoyed it. And the movie clocked in, because when I started watching it, it clocked in, I think it's 2 hours and 40 minutes. I have to take a look again. But it didn't feel it. It didn't feel, it flowed really well. It didn't slow down for me about it. I was totally captivated by the movie all the way through. So it's an hour, or yeah, it's 2 hours and 29 minutes, so 2.5 hours. So it didn't feel it at all. Like I said, the performances are strong all the way around. Like I said, led by Joaquin Phoenix, and I was, like I said, pleasantly surprised. I really enjoyed it. It's a movie I'll probably watch again pretty soon. I really enjoyed it. And like I said, I was pleasantly surprised. So again, I'm going to go ahead and give Eddington 4 stars out of 5. And like I said, check it out. I think it's streaming. Where did I watch it? I want to say HBO Max. But obviously you can rent it. But I think it is streaming on HBO Max if you have that, so you can watch it at your leisure. So again, I want to thank everyone that's been watching and listening to the show. Again, I'm trying to grow the program, and the biggest thing I'm trying to do is get more shows out more frequently. And again, it's been 2 weeks, I think, since my last episode. So again, I'm still not hitting the mark of trying to get at least an episode out a week. I'll have this one coming out. I may do another review here shortly, so I may have one coming out tomorrow or in a couple of days. But again, I want to thank everyone that watches the show and listens to the show. I really appreciate it. And again, wherever you listen to the program, it's available basically wherever you get podcasts. You can get it on YouTube. You can get it on Spotify, Amazon, Apple Podcasts, iHeart. And if you have Amazon, if you have a Dot or an Echo, if you just have it ask you for the latest episode of the Let Me Bend Your podcast, it'll play it. And it's available there as well, too. So you can listen to it on your phone. You can listen to it at home while you're doing your chores. So definitely check it out there on Amazon. It's really easy to do. You just say the name of it, and it'll just automatically play the latest episode that's available. And of course, if you listen to the audio version, obviously, I would love for you to subscribe. You'll get notifications when the show is available, when new episodes are available. And of course, please follow the YouTube channel. Even if you're not a YouTube watcher, I would just ask that you follow it. I'm trying to grow the YouTube channel with subscribers. If you have the option, you can turn, if you do watch the show on YouTube, you can turn notifications on, and you'll get notifications when the show goes live. And obviously, if you don't watch it live, you can always watch it later at your leisure. So if you could do that, that'd be great. And even if you're not a YouTube, or if you don't consume it on YouTube, if you could just click and subscribe, and you can always turn notifications off, that's fine. Just trying to grow the subscriber base, trying to grow the subscriber base on the audio side as well, so I can get more interaction. And I really want to grow the show. Like I said, I'm trying to get the show out, bigger reach, interact with people that love movies. So if you can help me do that, that's the easiest way. And if you want to support the show financially, like I said, we have the QR code here on the left if you're watching the video, or you can go to the X page at Bend Your Ear Pod, and you can use the tip jar there. But again, if the easiest way and one of the most important ways, if you don't do it financially, is really to subscribe wherever you get the podcast, rate and review, give me 5 stars if you could, if you love the show. Click and subscribe on YouTube. That's really the best way to help, because that'll help this show get seen and heard by more people, but more people that interact with it by subscribing and by liking the show. And if you're on X or on Facebook, wherever, please retweet my tweets, share the videos on the Facebook page and on X. That will also help as well, to increase the engagement. So again, the show's available video wise on YouTube, on X, and actually on Rumble as well, the Ben Jura podcast. So if you have Rumble, the shows are live on all 3 platforms, but you can watch it. The easiest probably way to watch it is either Rumble or YouTube. You can watch them on X. I've been talking about this last couple of episodes, trying to figure out the X situation, because videos that I post there, or the lives that are posted there, for some reason are, after a certain amount of time, going away. I don't know why that's happening, or it's becoming a link that's unwatchable. So if you run into that on an episode of mine on X, just either, that's why I go to YouTube or go to Rumble. They'll always be there. And like I said, you can always listen to the show on the audio feed wherever you get your podcast. So I would appreciate that if you do that. If you have any suggestions about movies to review, any thoughts on the ones I have reviewed, you can email the show at bendyourearpodcast@gmail.com. But really, the quickest way to get a hold of me is to interact with me on X. I'm on there all the time. I love talking movies with other film lovers, so you can always go there. Again, the X account is at Bend Your Ear Pod, which is also the handle for YouTube. Also, my Instagram handle as well. As I said, with the Instagram piece of it, I'm still trying to figure out how to do that piece better. I post photos of movies that I review and put the review, when I put my star review, my print review on there. But I'm trying to find a way to interact there, because it's for me, it's been a challenge to do Instagram live when I'm doing the live show, because there's a couple of extra steps you have to take. And I'm not savvy enough tech wise to do that. I haven't figured that part out yet. So probably my plan is to probably do specific Instagram videos that are shorter, maybe with short synopsises of reviews, something in the 1 to 2 minute range, if even that long, just to help drive traffic, hopefully, to the YouTube page, Facebook, and to the audio podcast as well. So I will look to do that as well. So again, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and I hope you continue to do so. And if there's people looking for a movie podcast that you know of, just if you can recommend it, that'd be great. Or again, share my post on social media, and subscribe wherever you listen to it or watch it is the biggest way you can help the show and help me out. So I appreciate that. So again, to wrap up, I reviewed Eddington, directed by, let me get his name right because I keep mangling it, Ari Aster. I think that's the correct pronunciation. Directed and written by Ari Aster, starring Joaquin Phoenix. I'm giving Eddington 4 stars out of 5. So again, I definitely recommend you check it out. Let me know your thoughts after you do. And like I said, I'll be back hopefully with a new show pretty soon here in the next day or two. And again, thank you everyone for listening and watching. Take care. Have a fantastic week.